As a consequence of the internet, more so than the recession, we now have a surplus of retail property, and our town centres have sort of evolved into becoming predominantly retail, and what we now need to look at is bringing them back to what their original purpose was, which is places where you live, work, enjoy, as well as shop.
That's interesting. So, I mean, give us the blueprint for turning, because lots of people will know these places. Lots of people are going to be in them today, walking through shops, you know, town centres, they're empty shops. What's your blueprint? How does that look different in your vision?
Well, people are passionate about their town centres, but they are not places where people shop in the same way. Polarisations happen, so people go to the major cities for a big shop. But in their local communities, they want housing, they want entertainment through restaurants, through cinemas. They also want employment through whether it's the local authority offices. A lot of that went out of town. We need to bring that back into the town centre.
What are you going to do with all those empty shops then? How are you going to film them? You're going to turn, you talk about residential properties, what, turn them into residential homes?
Yeah, we're encouraging local authorities to take leadership to decide what they want for their towns. So what's suitable for Bolton is different from Bury and from Rochdale, etc. So where they need those town centres, they have to master plan, and then we're encouraging the use of CPO, compulsory purchase powers, to assemble large parts of land to allow proper development to take place.
It's a really tricky thing to get right, isn't it? Because it's very chicken and egg. Because say if a shop wants to remain a shop and it's boarded up now, there could be any number of reasons. The rent could be too high, which it often is in good high streets. They can stay empty because the rent being too high. In a high street where there's no one walking down it, no one's going to want to open the shop in the first place because the footfall isn't there anyway. How do you get someone to open a shop where they know there's not the market there, in the hope that in the future it will get better?
Well, we don't think you will. We've examined the research we undertook, highlighted that it's not about high rents. It is a fact that we just don't need the amount of floor space that we now have. So we need to consolidate it. We still need shops, but we just need them to be better placed in a smaller core part of the town centre. And what we need to look at is how we use the surplus land that's created for that for alternative uses.
And presumably, this is, you know, it's high on everybody's agenda, but for councils as well, you know, they make money, don't they, from what's going on in the high street. So, you know, how much are they going to have to invest, do you think? And is that possible? Well,
we're looking at how you can use infrastructure funds to help finance if there's a funding gap between converting a street from rundown property into housing. The private sector is very keen to get involved, but if there's a funding gap, it's about how the local authority can step in to bridge that gap to enable that project to take place.
There's a very high-profile campaign, the Mary Portas campaign, government-backed campaign, which I think, I mean, you can tell me, has it been designated a complete failure? Because it had no impact.
I think she raised the high street onto everybody's agenda. I mean, it's talked about by every man, woman and child in this.
Well, it's talked about on the basis that it didn't work.
She wanted to encourage localism to take place, and we support that, but we're looking at it on a much more strategic level in terms of some of the strategic issues that have to be addressed and how we make that change.
And when's the change going to happen? Because it's kind of urgent, this, isn't it?
It is urgent, and we're encouraging government and local authorities to take leadership now.